With all the hype around The Odyssey and Christopher Nolan, who at this point is basically cinema's golden boy, I wanted to shine some light on one of my favourite directors, Quentin Tarantino. Nolan gets the headlines, the IMAX screens, the genius label, but Tarantino, he gets the characters, he gets the dialogue, he gets the vibe. He makes films that feel like you're sitting in a room with dangerous people who talk too much. And somehow that's more entertaining than half the explosions Hollywood puts out. Tarantino is one of the few directors where you can watch a scene of two people talking for 10 minutes and be more locked in than you would be during a Marvel fight scene. He builds tension through personality, he builds story through conversation, he builds worlds through tiny details, a look, a pause, a weird anecdote that seems pointless until it suddenly isn't. He's known for his iconic characters, razor sharp dialogue, stylized violence, and that weird magic where even a character who shows up for 2 minutes feels like they've lived a whole life before stepping into the frame. He doesn't just write characters, he writes personalities. He writes people with grudges, philosophies, quirks, and secrets. And when the characters collide, the dialogue becomes its own kind of action scene. For me, the best thing about his films is exactly that, the characters, and then the way they interact. The story doesn't just happen, it unfolds through conversations, tension, and conflict. Tarantino lets the characters reveal the plot. He lets the audiences sit in the tension, and when he gets it right, it's cinematic gold. Now, this list might be controversial. It's not the film student list. It's not the letterbox top 250 list. It's my list, and I'm sticking to it. At number one, my favourite film is The Hateful Eight. This might surprise people because it's one of his most recent films, but I generally think The Hateful Eight is his best work. And I know some people will roll their eyes at that because the film is divisive, but that's exactly why I love it. The setup is simple. Samuel L. Jackson plays a bounty hunter who seeks shelter from a brutal storm in a remote cabin. Inside are eight strangers, each with their own backgrounds, their own motives, their own secrets, and their own backstory. And the film goes on and on. Things happen which I won't spoil, and you start to realise these people may not be who they claim to be. And what I love about this film is how contained it is. It's basically a stage play, one location, eight characters, and pure tension. People criticise it for that. It's just too slow. It's just a cabin. There's barely any action. But for me, that's the point. It's a pressure cooker. Every conversation is a clue. Every silence is a threat. Every character is hiding something. And Tarantino squeezes out every drop of tension out of that cabin and the characters. And the thing people don't give enough credit to is how disciplined the film is. Tarantino is known for chaos, big casts, big violence, big set pieces, but here he forces himself into a box. And instead of feeling limited, he thrives. The dialogue is some of the best. The performances are insane, and the twists hit hard. The mystery is tight, and the ending is perfect. Another thing I love is how the film plays with trust. Nobody trusts anyone. Everyone is lying. Everyone is manipulated. And Tarantino lets the audience sit in that discomfort. You're constantly guessing, analysing, trying to figure out who's telling the truth. And the film rewards you for paying attention. It feels like a concentrated dose of everything that Tarantino does so well. Character, tension, dialogue, mystery, violence, all in one place. It's a masterpiece, even if people don't want to admit it. At number two, we have Pulp Fiction. There's not much I can say that hasn't already been said, but I'll say it anyway. Pulp Fiction is one of the most iconic films ever made. It didn't just influence cinema, it influenced culture. It's been quoted, referenced, parodied, and studied for decades, and it still holds up. The structure is wild. It's multiple stories out of order, all connected by characters and themes. You've got Vincent and Jules retrieving the briefcase, Vincent taking the boss's wife out, Bruce Willis as the boxer who refuses to throw the fight, the dinner scene that ties everything together. And what makes this film special is that how alive it feels. Every character is memorable. Every scene has tension or humour or both. The dialogue is legendary, not because it's flashy, but because it feels real. People talk like people, not like movie characters. And the thing people forget is how risky this film was. It's a non-linear storytelling which wasn't common at the time. It's got long dialogue scenes which weren't common, and it mixes comedy with violence, which again, it wasn't common. Tarantino basically rewrote the rulebook, and everyone else spent the next 20 years copying him. Another thing I love is how the film balances chaos and control. It feels messy, scenes jump around, characters come and go, but everything is intentional. Every scene connects, every moment matters, and the world that he built, where the smallest decision can spiral into madness, and that unpredictable nature is what makes this film so fun. It's stylish, chaotic, funny, violent, and weirdly philosophical. It's a film that genuinely survives the test of time. In third place is Reservoir Dogs, his debut film, and honestly, it's one of the strongest debuts ever. The opening scene alone tells you everything you need to know about the characters. Then the film jumps back and forth between the past and present, what happens during the heist, what's happening now, who betrayed who. It's a tight, fast paced, and it's full of tension. If you like Memento and gave Nolan credit for the jumpy storytelling, this is right up your street, because Tarantino was doing that before Nolan even stepped into the game. The plot is simple. A group of thieves rob a diamond store, the police ambush them, someone might have snitched, and the survivors regroup in a hideout and try to figure out what went wrong. What I love about this film is how raw it is. You can feel that it's a low budget film. You can feel the limitations, but instead of holding the film back, it makes it better. Tarantino uses dialogue, tension to fill in the gaps where other directors would rely on spectacle, and the performances are perfect. Every actor feels like they belong in that world. Another thing that stands out is how the film handles loyalty. Every character has their own idea of loyalty. Loyalty to the job, loyalty to the crew, loyalty to themselves. And those conflicting loyalties create the tension. It's a film about trust, betrayal, and the consequences of both. Some people criticise it for being too similar to another film, City on Fire. Some even claim it's a shot for shot remake. But honestly, that's an obscure criticism. This film, it does stand on its own. The energy, the pacing, the tension, it's all Tarantino. And for a first film, it's ridiculous how good this is. It's a well paced 1 hour and 39-minute film, and the depth you get in that film is amazing. Next is Django Unchained. This one's a bit controversial, but I'm putting it in here anyway. And I'll be honest, I didn't like this film on the first watch. I didn't like Jamie Foxx's character. I thought he was weak, I thought he was boring. I just didn't buy into him. But Christoph Waltz, the man never misses. Every scene he's in, he elevates. When I watched it the first time, the story didn't hit for me either. I found the pacing a bit poor. I didn't really like the characters. I didn't find any humour in the film. And I just didn't enjoy the action films either. But then I rewatched it and everything clicked. The KKK scene at the start, hilarious. DiCaprio's character, despicable, hilarious, believable. And Samuel L. Jackson's character, oh my god, it was iconic. They're all exaggerated versions of the roles they're playing, which makes the film funny, serious, and weirdly, cartoonishly realistic at the same time. The setting, the action, the humour, it all works once you settle into the tone. And what I appreciate most is how bold the film is. Tarantino tackles slavery, racism, violence, revenge, but he does it in his own style. It's messy, it's loud, it's colourful, and it's unapologetic. It's not trying to be historically accurate. And once you accept that, the film becomes a blast. Another thing I love is how the film handles power dynamics. Every scene is about who has power, who wants power, and what they're willing to do to get it. And watching Django slowly gain power, confidence, skill, agency, it makes the final act hit harder. It's stylish, it's bold, and it's full of personality. And upon the second viewing, it becomes one of my favourite films. Next is Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. And yes, I have to group them together because you kind of have to. Volume 1 is insane. Non stop action, the kitchen fight, the restaurant fight, the final showdown. It's all brilliant. The story of her waking up and immediately getting to work is perfect. She's badass. The action is constant and the style is unmatched. Now, Volume 2 is the reason why, in my opinion, this film comes down a little bit. It's slower, there's more dialogue, there's less action, and in my opinion, it's less iconic. It's still good, but it's not on the same level as the first. What I love about Kill Bill overall is how genre blending it is. Tarantino mixes samurai films, kung fu films, westerns, revenge thrillers, and it all works. The soundtrack is perfect. The visuals are perfect. The choreography is perfect. Another thing that stands out is how the film explores revenge. Volume 1 is the rage, the anger, the violence, the adrenaline. Volume 2 is the aftermath, the reflection, the consequences, the emotional weight. Together, they tell a complete story. But because Volume 2 drags a bit, in my opinion, that's why I'm putting it further down on the list. So, yeah, that's my top 5 Tarantino films. I know most people would probably put Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, and even Glorious Bastards, or even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood higher. And that's fine. Tarantino is one of those directors where everyone has a different favourite because his films hit people in different ways. For me, with Inglourious Bastards, I did consider putting it into the list, but I just didn't find the characters as iconic. And I didn't find the dialogue as sharp. I also thought the story was going to be far more emotional than it was. And I felt this film would have taken a far more serious tone than it had. For me, these films hit the hardest, and these are the ones I would rewatch. The ones that show what Tarantino does best: character, dialogue, tension, and style. Whether you agree with my list or not, you can't deny the man has left a massive mark in cinema.